Councilmember Fernandez, Councilmember Lublin, Councilmember Ambrose, Councilmember Osnick, Mayor Pro Tem Woods, and Mayor Ackley. We also have in attendance with us this evening DDA Board Member Millen and County Commissioner Ajay Raman. Madam Mayor, I would like to turn the meeting over to you, please.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to welcome everyone, and again, apologize for a little slight delay here. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
At this time, Mayor Pro Tem Ryan Woods will give the invocation.
Dear God, we ask you to preside over this meeting tonight. Help us to act as a unified team, to open our hearts, and make fair and just decisions that improve our community. Also, may we come together as a whole with courage and strength to show kindness and compassion as we collectively work towards the betterment of Walled Lake. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Okay, would the clerk now please call?
Ackley,
Here.
Ambrose,
Here.
Fernandez. Here. Locke, Lublin,
Here.
Osnick.
Here.
Woods.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we did have correspondence from Councilmember Locke that she will not be in attendance this evening. So
Okay,
may we
thank
have a
you.
motion, please?
Okay, we have a quorum. Could I now have a motion to excuse Councilmember Locke?
So move.
What's the second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
At this time, we have a presentation, and I will turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Tonight's first presentation is my nomination and appointment of a fire chief. Those of you who are confused about the agenda, about who that's going to be, I suggest you look around and figure it out. I would ask somebody in the audience to stand. A firefighter who we're very proud of. He works in another city. His name is Gonzalez as well. Will Joshua Gonzalez stand? Joshua, I told you to pay attention. You are. And somebody in your family might be fire chief before the night's over. Got to. That means he outranks you. You're the brother. He's got, I don't know who's online. Have you got an identity of who's online? I'm guessing that we have several children zoomed in of the Gonzalez family. Prolific family, a whole lot of Gonzalez's out there. And it's what's interesting, part of the Gonzalez family is none of them speak Spanish. And I do. ¿Puedes hablar en español conmigo, señor? No. Jason Gonzalez, my deputy fire chief, will you please come forward? Jason is my nomination for fire chief. He's served our community a very long time. The one who knows him the longest is probably the mayor. You get to say whatever you like as long as it's not too bad. I'm going to ask the chief to come up and give his credentials after I'm finished, but Jason is a graduate of Columbia Southern with his associate's degree. He's a graduate of Eastern Michigan University's Command and Staff Program. And the chief, our fire chief, interim fire chief, for about 5 more minutes, if we get the votes, will give us a background on his other credentials, and we'll introduce the family, and I hope they're proud of him. I'm hoping his sons are on. Are your sons on Zoom? Jason has a whole lot of firefighters he's turned loose into the world. How many you got, Jason?
I have 5 sons.
And they're all firefighters?
2 of them are firefighters.
At least a couple of them should have been cops. Come on. Either way, anybody taking a look at the picture up there? If you had any doubts of who was going to be the fire chief, that picture is a year old, but we put it through the drill. We put Jason through the drill. That's last year. If you're counting in years, it's 1 year or months, 12 months. If you're counting in pounds, that's probably 30 pounds for each of us.
That's 22.
Either way you look at it, if there was any doubt, that picture tells the story from last year. Jason is my pick. He's my nomination. He's been with the city for over 20 years. He started his career a long time ago, and our interim fire chief is going to give us a background so that everybody in the public live streaming knows. So give us a background on Jason before we introduce the rest of the family, who are very proud sitting out there, you know. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, sir. Good evening, council. Jason R. Gonzalez joined the Walled Lake Fire Department in February of 2000 as a firefighter. He is promoted to fire captain, fire marshal, and currently serves as your deputy fire chief. Jason started his career in Brighton as a cadet in 1990. He also served as a paid-on-call firefighter in 1993 for Farmington Hills. In 1996, he joined the White Lake Township Fire Department. Jason attended the Macomb Community College, where he received his firefighter 1 and 2 certification, along with hazmat awareness and operations. He also attended Oakland Community College in 2000, where he received his certification in Fire Officer 1, 2, and 3. He went on to attend Schoolcraft Community College in 2015, where he received his Fire Inspector 1 and Fire Inspector 2. And as the city manager already announced it, he did attend Eastern Michigan University's School of Staff and Fire Command. Tonight, here is his wife, Amanda. Nana, please wave. Daughter, Alyssa. Mom and dad, Rick and Cheryl. We've already met Joshua. I'm sorry. It's painful. And hopefully on Zoom or on YouTube is sons Richard, Austin, and Ryan. So I know I'm probably missing a few. So for the last 10 and a half months, I've been your interim fire chief, and I've had the opportunity to work close with your deputy fire chief. I've seen his credentials. I've seen him in action. He wakes up in the morning living and breathing fire. So he is absolutely the right pick, and hopefully he'll gain your support here shortly. Sir?
I don't need anything more than a vote. Mayor, if you can call a vote for my nomination, as the charter requires, to appoint the department heads. It requires a confirmation by the city council.
Is there a
And with a
council
vote-
member who would like the honor of making the motion?
Why don't we do that, sis?
I'd be happy to make the motion, Jason Gonzalez, for city manager's appointment of the City of Walled Lake's fire chief. Do we have a second?
Woods will second, probably.
We have a motion, we have a second. I don't think there remains anything to be said. I think it's pretty well summed up. Could I have a roll call, please?
Fernandez.
Yes.
Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
And Ackley.
Definitely yes.
Thank you.
Why don't you go up and shake some hands? And then when he gets done, he's going to come
Interim
back.
Chief Shekinnis, you're relieved.
Oh,
Thank you.
Congrats, buddy.
wife and daughter are going to pin badges. Come on up.
Yes. if we can.
Over,
Tell him to come up
maybe in
forward.
front of
Get
the,
up
yeah, the
in here.
seal here.
Have the seal. Right there.
Thank you, sorry.
Would everybody else come up?
Yeah, if we could get mom and dad up and anybody else, so that the young men on Zoom can see their dad as the fire chief. Congrats.
It's, no problem. No problem.
Happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
Don't run away yet.
I'm going to give you your oath, sir. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter and ordinances of the City of Walled Lake, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Fire Chief according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
I'm not your fire chief anymore, so I'm good. There's cake next door. You guys are all welcome to go. Get out while the game's good.
There's cake.
Madam Mayor, let me add a couple of points. For the last 9 months since the chief was interim fire chief, again, he's a certified fireman. I would like to thank him for his service as the interim fire chief and serving as the deputy public safety director. That's our system. We're going to continue on that system where he's still overseeing that. I would like to thank the deputy police chief, who's been the acting police chief. You're relieved as well. So that he gets to take his spot and gets to sit at his desk again, as opposed to everybody else sitting at it. But these two individuals help us get through that system. I was able to watch the progress of the fire department during those 9 months. There's simply no reason to go outside the city to do that. Jason is the guy. He's a quality guy. He's liked by not only his peers in the surrounding police and fire departments, but the members of our fire department. So we're pleased to have him. And I want to thank the chief, the deputy public safety director, and the acting chief, who's now back to deputy chief, for their role in making this last 9 months work. With that 9 months, we were able to see a lot of things and improve a lot of things. So we're going to continue on that route, that path, so that the chief is overseeing that whole thing as the deputy public safety director. And we will continue that. And that's kind of the system we've got, that while we don't have to hire a lot of other people, and we'll deal with that. But Jason is, hopefully they've all gone over there to enjoy their cake, and mom and dad and the brothers and all that can appreciate that. But we're proud to have Jason. Jason's done a great job for us in the last 9 months. He stepped up, and I knew he would, but we still tested him, and he passed the test. So that's where we are today. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Thank you.
For your role in the last 9 months. We appreciate that. Ready to move on. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Watermark Terrace LLC discussion. Is there anything you wanted to say first, City Manager, or you want me to simply turn it over to the attorney?
The next thing is the appointment, the presentation.
Presentation, yes.
There he is. Let's do that.
I didn't know if the attorney had any comments.
I appreciate that. No, I don't have any comments. I think if you've all got the city attorney's memo, it's a quality memo. It's classy. It does what we need it to do in terms of telling you how it is, refreshing your memory of the charter, the law, all of that. It's a great memo. You should know what to do after that. If we don't, we get to ask the city attorney because he's sitting right over there. But let's hear what the presenters got to say.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. Glad I got to witness that, and hopefully not too much of a crowd behind me because I'm not the best public speaker. So I'd like to start out by saying thank you for the city and city council members giving me the opportunity to present this for the CPD, the Commercial Plan Development. My name is Daniel Stockiv. A little background on myself. Me and my two business partners own Folio Offices, which is a co-working space that will be the main tenant in this building. We own property throughout Oakland County and the surrounding Metro Detroit areas. Most recently, we completed a ground-up townhouse development in Berkeley last spring, and we hold that as high-end rentals. So we're looking at the long run here. Personally, I hold a master's degree in architecture, worked underneath an architect for the last 10 years before shifting my focus into real estate development in 2019. My architect Andrew and I met with city planner Mario back in June to discuss the land across from Mercer Beach, which has been vacant for decades from my knowledge. Based on that meeting, we pursued this project through the commercial plan development route because we believe it aligns with the goals and objectives, and visions of the city's downtown urban design plan and master plan. This development would improve the city's infrastructure just with the rain runoff on that site, attract businesses to downtown, create jobs, and encourage new and existing tenants to shop and use local services that would benefit the residents of Walled Lake. This is much different approach to the site compared to the last few developers, mainly because most of those developers just wanted it for residential. I believe the last developer just wanted like 1,600 square feet of commercial space and the rest as rentals. So we are proposing 7,600 square feet of commercial space. So our proposed 3-story building is 7,600 square feet of co-working space. Along with that, we have 17, roughly 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath residential. Our proposed site plan has 47 parking spaces with the underground detention system. We have data to support the specific needs to be efficient with the parking with the commercial tenant and the residential tenants. We expect our Folio co-working space to have 25 daily members and roughly 120 active members based on our other 2 locations. I can review the data, but I will say 90% of our members leave before 5. So there is a common shared agreement with the parking, because most people want to go home, pick up their kids, and they tend to leave. So based on the other 2 locations, we expect we don't need that much parking. So the first floor, pretty much the whole first floor plate is Folio, and then we have 1 accessible unit on the first floor. Sorry. I forgot to mention, based on the 47 parking spaces provided, it doesn't account for the 87 parking spaces in a 300-foot radius. And I think we could account for maybe 50% of our parking to be on-street parking. So it's roughly 44 parking spaces. So the first floor plan, like I said, Folio, they have a front entrance on the southwest corner, and then there'll be an additional rear entrance off the parking lot on the northeast corner. And then each residential unit has a staircase going up, which would be a covered staircase. So on the 2nd and 3rd floors, they're all identical size units. All 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And the nice thing with this layout is every unit gets a water view. So that's really encouraging a high quality tenant. These are gonna be premium rents. You got the unobstructed water view of Mercer Beach, and people wanna enjoy that. And here are some 3D views. So these are all preliminary. This is looking, northeast, right at the front entrance of Folio. Everyone gets a nice big private terrace on their unit, and even Folio has a terrace on front. We elevated it just a tad, just to give some connection, some unobstructed views of the offices looking at the lake, if cars are parked in front or people walking on by. And the whole site itself is a 12 feet grade difference. So there is a step inside the office space, about 30 inches or so. So it's a little bit shorter on the backside. But every unit above it is 9 feet tall on the second and third floor to give it more of a premium feel. Each of those units have 8-foot glass sliders, which are a little bit more than the standard builder grade. And you can see here, the exterior staircases will be covered. The nice thing with that is you don't have these, ugly interior hallways tenants have to walk down. You pretty much have your front door on the backside of the units. And a lot of architects are going more to this design for, fire suppression, HVAC requirements, fire stacks, fire standpipe system. Yeah, so the whole building will be sprinklered still, but this avoids some of those, unnecessary things. Just here's a few photos of the other co-working spaces. We are a pretty, one of the better known co-working spaces. We are very successful. We are profitable. Over the last few years, a lot of people have been, closing their businesses, and we keep expanding. So this is our Folio location. We opened this in 2021. It's roughly 7,500 square feet, which is about the exact same size that we're proposing. It's 100% occupied. We got 24 members daily here, and 121 members overall. We have 0 provided parking spaces here. It's all street parking. No issues with the city. But this building was abandoned for about 30 years. It's right across from Valentine Distillery, Como's, Imperial, right downtown Ferndale. So we tear off the roof, built a clear story, and built this really nice, co-working space. Folio Berkeley was our first location. We built this in 2019. It's roughly 5,000 square feet. We have 18 daily average members with 71, roughly 71 members overall. We only have 6 parking spaces provided on this site. No issues with the city. And Berkeley doesn't really have any public parking. So no complaints. It really activates the downtown area a little bit. People are promoting, local businesses. And like I said, most of those people tend to leave after, before 5 o'clock. Just a few interior photos. This is our most recent townhouse development, more of a modern style. This site was actually just like this Mercer Beach one. It was for sale for 10 years. No one knew what to do with it. But we came in, start to finish, 100% occupied in 2 years, going with planning, permitting, and construction. These are all premium tenants, $3,500 a month, 3-bed, 3.5 bath. So we know our clientele, and we know that these people would probably like to move out to the beach too. So all premium units. I'll open it up. That's a little background on myself, my company, and Folio, and the development.
Mayor, let me ask a couple of questions to start, and then the council can go. Did you just say you're an architect? Is that, did I hear that right?
I'm not unlicensed architect. My architect Andrew is right here.
Who's the architect? You're the architect?
Yes.
Okay, but you said you, at the DDA meeting, which you made a little short presentation, you said that you had a land contract to purchase a property.
Yep.
Is that so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're under contract right now.
I just want to understand that so that my council and the public knows that you're serious about where you're going. It looks like you're doing some work down there. You've done some boring.
We've done soil borings. There's some environmental issues. There was an old gas station on the corner, so we're investigating the extents of that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm only asking for my council so they can ask the questions they might have before they make whatever decision they're supposed to make. So I'm concluded. I thought he said he was the architect, but we have an architect, so that's the lady sitting there.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure who raised
She-
it. I was trying to
At
see
the
who was
DDA
raising their
At
hand
the
or who he
DDA
was
meeting,
pointing to.
he explained that he had a contract with Mr. Kissiglu, or whoever the owner is in terms of a company. And so we need to know that, so we're dealing with whoever really has the responsibility for the project. I don't want to let the council deal with somebody who really doesn't have any control. So,
Yeah, I'm the design architect. I just never took my test. I worked in architecture, high-end residential at Soroki Architecture. I
I
quit that in
appreciate all that,
2018.
but I'm going to deal with the real architect over here. With all due respect, I've got all those credentials too, but I
Yeah.
just never took the test. You know, so
Well, we are-
the one
I
we're
am
dealing
acting
with
as
is
the-
if you've got a contract, that's what we need to know. So if you've got a contract and we've heard it from you, then they need to know that, and then they can ask whatever questions they want and refer it to wherever they want. So,
Okay.
Mayor, I'm finished
Okay.
with my question.
That's what we're really here tonight, is to ask the questions and see what the gentleman wants to present to the city. And then after our questions are answered at that time, if it's council's decision, then it should at that time be forwarded over to the planning commission. We will not be making any decision here tonight. That's not our role. Our role is to decide whether it goes on over to the planning commission. So, council, who would like to start with any questions that you might have? Was that a hand going up?
And who was first?
Or was that just a?
I'll go first. So, a couple years ago, a development had came to this same property. Property is not there, or the development is not there. Reason being, they came with a planned unit development with what we are similarly doing at the moment. And so my question, and I think it would be an important question for him to know as well, our developer, why did it not work several years ago, and why will it work now as a planned unit development?
I think his argument was that he's going business-wise or whatever, but in my opinion, why that died before is the developer was trying to get too much return on his investment. I mean, and you can't fault him for that. He took a gamble, and the politics of it killed it. A lot of people there are not going to want to see 3 stories. You knew that when you took this adventure, and that's exactly what it's going to be. The people are they're going to stand up. They're going to show up after if this gets to the planning commission, it comes back, you're going to see people coming from that surrounding area. We've already had one person come out and talk about lawsuits and all that, amazingly. But I'm a believer that you need to let it take the process. He's willing to go through that and see what we can work out, what we can negotiate, and follow the CPD process, negotiate whatever, and then maybe we can work it out. But the politics are important, and so are the densities and all the other issues. So this is a different proposal. I think he knows that. I think he's done enough research to know that it's a little different. But what's not different, my friend, is politics.
Yeah, so the last developer went for site plan approval and straight for PUD right away. PUD is 3 acres or more. I knew that's not even an option here. And then when we talked to Mario, it was like, well, we have this commercial plan development route we can go to. And based on our research with code and in the master plan and the downtown, the DDA plan, it specifically cites like this site as one of the anchor potentials across from Mercer Beach. So, you know, you want to?
Yeah, I can add.
Yeah, you want to?
Could you please approach the podium and speak into the mic? Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think, you know, one of the purposes of CPD is.
Would you mind bringing
Pull the mic down
There you
and
go.
Forgot I'm
introduce
on.
yourself again if you
Shorter.
would, please.
One of the purposes of the CPD process is to, you know, have a different route to apply for something that couldn't be done under these standard zoning ordinances. We fall into 3 different zones here. We're historic lakefront, the overlay, and the C3 district. So there's a lot of conflicting information within those, within the zoning ordinance. And then just, the purpose of CPD is to more align with, how can a development align with the master plan goals, rather than just the zoning ordinance that, is just strict code. So one way that, just reading the master plan, office space in Walled Lake is very limited. It accounts for a very small percentage. And this parcel is actually called out in the master plan to be one of 2 main redevelopment opportunities for the city. So that master plan highlighted this parcel exactly for commercial and residential use specifically. As you know, there's an increased demand for multifamily use and a walkable downtown. This development promotes that by, bridging that gap. I think something that is noted is there's a lot of isolated residential areas that don't connect into the downtown area. So this parcel is really key to filling that gap and bridging that gap between the residential and downtown commercial area. And then also, a very specific item mentioned in the master plan was that citizens had noticed that the connection of Mercer Beach to historic lakefront downtown just was non-existent. And if there was something there to connect it, it would promote the walkability between those 2 areas. Those, 2 prominent areas of the downtown would now be connected.
I would say the Robertson Townhomes went in for 2019 development, or it might have been 2017, and they weren't even planning on commercial. I would say most developers aren't even doing commercial, at least very small commercial, because there's no profitability there. But seeing that I'm the owner occupant, it works out a little bit better. So this will require, this 3-story is 69% residential, and in the current 3C zoning, or is it the downtown, the commercial aspect needed to be 50%. So that was one of the other considerations. Mars, like, you should probably go with the CPD versus just asking for, site plan variance scenario.
One significant difference is that the previous developers were looking to combine the 2 lots, which required an abandonment of a street. Each of you know what that street is. By abandoning the street and then combining the parcel and then developing, and of course they want to maximize development. So the whole discussion of parking came into play, but abandonment of the street, which the city could have done, but they chose not to do. The city killed that by resolution. One of the council members brought that to the table, and they killed that. This is significantly different. They're talking about developing a parcel that's independent. They're not asking to abandon any street, and they're asking us to modify, under the CPD, we're not necessarily giving away the store. One of the arguments would be that you have to comply with the ordinances. And so I want to point out to council, from our point of view, the CPD is part of the ordinance. The CPD is part of the ordinance. So you can do that, planning commission can do that, city council can do a deal if it works out. But they have to comply with certain things, but you're not giving away the store. This is the idea that you're not, if you go CPD or PUD, you're not violating the ordinance. That is part of the ordinance. The ordinance creates the CPD and the PUDs, planned unit development. So that can be done. Whether or not it's going to be acceptable, or we ended up getting it done the way they want it done versus what the council wants it done. And ultimately, as I understand it, the council will be making the decision on what an agreement means. They get to decide. Planning commission will play a role. be public hearings. I'm sure there's going to be people who come up and speak for, perhaps against. But it is part of the ordinance, so we need to give them their day to speak to the council, to the public, to the planning commission. So that's what I recommend. And I would suggest that you ask your questions now and then ask your city attorney what the next step is. I believe I know what the next step is, but hearing it from the city attorney will give you much more confidence.
Well, you answered my question to a T. I don't have any further questions besides what comes out of it.
I have a question too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why Walled Lake?
The water, it's a great view. Me and my business partners own a bunch of stuff from Berkeley to Milford to Flowerville. Like, it's just for a boutique developer like myself, a small time guy, I try to actively look for pieces of land that I'm not competing with someone with crazy deep pockets. So, and it seems like this was brought to us by the realtor. Be like, hey, I got this really nice piece of land, great value. No one can build on it, but I think you can, because just based on the last development I did in Berkeley, no one else can build on it, but somehow I got it done. So that's why Walled Lake. The view is the key factor there.
The 44 on-street parking spots that you're using, are those already in existence?
Yeah, the 87, the 50, I'm just rounding up those, 30, 40, 43.5, but they're all in existence right now.
And then the other ones that you're creating are 47 will be in the back of the building.
And this is before, I came last week to the DDA, and you guys were approving some infrastructure, like curbs, parking, parallel parking. And that was the first time I saw that. So we would probably put parallel parking on the front of East Walled Lake and Witherall. We just didn't know if that's something the city actually wanted. So we could probably add a few more parking spaces.
Okay. So in the 47, then you have 25 for your daily people that are working at Folio, and then you have 17 units.
Mhm.
So that's 42, right? My math is not good.
Yeah, I mean, I pictured,
So you have 5 extra spaces, if only 1 parking space per unit. Okay.
I pictured each residential unit to have one dedicated parking space, like numbered, that no one else can park in, and the rest can be overflow. I think statistically, only 15% of people still work from home. So I would say the majority of people are going to leave before my Folio members come. And that doesn't even take into account that this is an immediate downtown area and there are public parking spaces available. And all those people tend to leave, 90% of them, statistically, from my other 2 locations.
Will there
4 or 5
be
p.m.
an arm or something to keep people from parking in there?
I am worried about public beach people parking in this parking lot. I would say we want to keep it open without a gate, but the future 10 years from now, if it's an issue, then we might need to add one.
I did listen to the DDA meeting, and one of the things that you said was that you were looking at creating density in a downtown area. And I'm looking at the CPD checklist, and it says the CPD option shall not be allowed solely as a means of increasing density or intensity of development. So is that one of your goals, is to increase density? Then I don't think you can.
Well, I mean, anything's an increase from density from a vacant piece of land for 20 years. So I would say to create a thriving business and thriving surrounding businesses, you do need some walkability. A 2-story development is.
But there's density and then there's over density, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is over density compared to some of the other developments that are proposed.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that this presentation is different from what we've seen, and I support moving it on to the Planning Commission and letting it take its due course. Whether you support or don't support, I think at this point, moving it along is the right thing to do.
Can I ask a couple questions? First, welcome for being here. Appreciate you looking at Walled Lake. In terms of ADA requirements, how does that affect the parking? And then, second question relative to that is, with the 300 radius to look at the off-street parking, how does that relate to what's available out there with residential being on the immediate side?
So I can answer, I think, both of those questions. The 300-foot radius does not include any street parking on residential streets. It's within the downtown area. That map, I believe, calls out, you can see they're west of our site. So nothing's being proposed as off-street parking on residential, and we're doing our best to respect, the edge of that residential zone. And as far as the ADA parking, what specifically, I guess, is the question? We have
in one of the drawings, just trying to understand the total parking count that you have in the presentation. It does show one handicap spot, I would assume. That's the hash mark, or?
We do have two, so it would be two spaces with one shared aisle.
Yeah, I just remember from a presentation prior, right? There was 3 or 5 parking spots. So I'm wondering how that plays into the total count.
So it's based on the total amount of spaces you have within that lot, and I think it is up to 50 is you're required 2. Over 50, it would be 3. So we're counting the parking spaces within our actual off-street lot.
Okay. And then my second question is, since this is a C3 area and you're going for a CPD, what are the specific variances that you're looking for to make that jump?
So one of them would be having one residential unit on the first floor, and that is due to accessibility. If we were to create just all commercial on the first floor, we would require an elevator to the second floor, and it's not really economically feasible for a building of this size. And plus, it just promotes more accessibility, having the one unit. It's doable. It works with the business plan of the commercial space to where we have that space for a residential unit on the first floor.
Also, it faces the residential side with that new construction house, so it being all residential there, it seems a little more appropriate rather than having the commercial space feed in that way.
Understood.
The other ones were, I have a list right here.
Yeah, it would be proposing residential that is 50%, over 50% of the gross area of the building. That is a C3 requirement, that residential is not over 50%.
The 3-story in height and 39-foot, for the proposed 39'7" height, which it should be 2-story and 30 feet in the C3 zoning. And the front yard setback, seeing that this is 4-sided property, technically I have 4 frontages. So what I consider the rear, where the parking lot is, I have 131-foot setback, technically, because it's considered a front. So.
That is how our civil engineer interpreted that, because this is a lot with 4 frontages, that the front setback would be considered on all sides. I tend to argue that a corner lot really means 2 sides. To expect something to be built at 0 setbacks on this entire site is unreasonable. So that is something that, also another reason for CPD to kind of interpret these setbacks.
Also, our civil engineer interpreted the parking setback to be 20 feet, and we have 7'6" in some areas.
The maximum, yes. The max is at the residential side, which is 7.5 feet. And everywhere else it would be the 5 feet. So if we don't count the front, every side of the parcel as the front, we meet the side and rear parking setbacks. It's just the 20-foot setback for a front parking is what, we would not comply with if we're considering all sides, the front of the building, or the front.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, we've talked a lot about the parking tonight. Help me out here. You're saying you have how many places on site?
47.
47. And you're wanting 100 and how many?
We,
We are required, as it's.
Are you
as
going to create how many? How many total are you talking with this project?
So in the surface lot would be 47.
How many?
47.
Yeah, but then how many are you expecting to use from surrounding public spaces?
per code, with the 2 units per residential, 2 parking spaces per residential unit, and the commercial being, it was 35 spaces.
And I'm looking for that number. just-
It is 77 spaces per code right now.
So we would be
It would be 30 shy.
You'd
looking.
be what now?
30 parking spaces shy.
Okay,
But based on the data I have on my other co-working spaces, the requirements of the commercial space of 150 per usable.
so you're talking 30 additional spaces that exist on public city property at this point?
Yep, and that is something in the I think it's the C3 district, that you are allowed up to 50% of off-street, on-street parking. And so we counted a total of more than that, but to meet our 77 spaces, we would need about 30, I think it's 30.
And where exactly are you planning those to go?
Well, based on the map, is it possible, sorry, I was trying, it froze up on me when that's why I was going back and forth between your question.
I know we had a couple conversations going at one time, which I'm not really fond of, but we had them going.
And I guess if you do have that map in front of you, so we're not proposing, these spots exist in the downtown area. They're existing either, on-street, parallel, diagonal parking, that we are proposing to use that exception within the zoning code to use up to 50% of on-street parking to meet our totals.
We don't expect, because most of the commercial tenants will be leaving at 5, most of the residential people, if all the residential people will be on site at the end of the night. So I don't expect people to be on street, but per code, 30 parking spaces on street.
What you don't expect and what happens sometimes is a big problem, but I'll leave that to be discussed and decided and thought about in the planning
Yeah.
stages, because my fear is we're gonna create an already overloaded parking problem and make it even worse with a 3-story building, but time will tell. John, do you have?
I want to thank all of the members of council for their profound questions, because they've just about answered every one that I had.
So you can carry them on to your role as planning commissioner.
Now, when I'm on the planning commission, we will proceed further. Okay?
Oh,
Okay. Are there any more questions out of the council? Okay.
I had one more question, just reflective of stormwater runoff. It's just a collection point, so pretty much that basin picks up everything that the rainwater goes into it, and it flushes straight out to pretty much the beach drain.
I was here 2 weeks ago.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because we talked about possible grant funding, which we didn't have enough money to finish a project to go to phase 2 for, a filtration or something for the beach. And we've shut down quite a few times this year for stormwater runoff. So, I mean, looking at the whole picture, how that fits in, right? And we're picking up a bigger collection point.
Yeah, I mean, Oakland County requires you to have a 100-year storm detention system on site. So all the water that is on my property will stay on my property, and having curbs around the whole property would prevent water runoff running on dirt, collecting on the street of Walled Lake. I think it would help a lot.
But I think the stormwater flows directly into the beach area.
Well, stormwater
Right.
retention is part of the process that they have to meet.
Right, understand
That's
that.
all.
Yep.
My civil engineer drew right now a 6,400-gallon tank for a 100-year flood. So pretty much the worst water we would have, every single drop would stay on my property. I would even be using your storm your storm system. It just slowly releases into your storm system.
I think that would mitigate any problems that we have with what we have right now.
Would agree.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I see problems coming, but I also see parking problems coming. And
Those bridges when we get to them.
I know you were
them across the
present,
bridge.
I know you were present at the DDA meeting, and we discussed what we'd like to see happen in the downtown, but what we'd like to see and how far we go with it sometimes are two different things. So I don't think we can throw all our eggs in that basket that's gonna happen, so.
Well, what I see happening is that you would be working in coordination with the DDA and with our proposed renovation for the downtown.
Yeah.
So I fully would appreciate any of that combined efforts.
Okay,
Coordinated.
No, I look forward to it. I appreciate you picking the city
Yes,
of Walled Lake as
definitely.
an opportunity. I'm excited to see what our planning commission and your team come up with in an agreement, and let's get something done. I've lived in this city for 23 years, and I've seen nothing on that property. So I'd like to see something, as long as it fits.
Precisely.
I agree. I think anything that we can do for the downtown area, but we have to do it correctly.
Yeah, I just don't want to, of
We have to protect what's already existing there.
course, we
We
want
have-
to preserve the downtown and work with you to build a building that you guys would appreciate. We definitely don't want to build a concrete jungle in an immediate downtown area. And with all the parking lots that are nearby, we could also approach the churches for, weekday parking for people, because a lot of those parking spaces aren't being used at all during the week, so.
Yep. We've got a lot of businesses down there that already are struggling, and I don't want to put any more struggles on them. So does anybody else have anything they'd like to say at this time? Okay, then we'll turn it over to the city attorney's comments. Where do we
Okay,
go from here?
they are, as they've indicated, seeking zoning approval under the CPD option, under the zoning ordinance. The CPD option conceptually and procedurally is very similar to the planned unit development option, which you're all familiar with. We've done a couple of those recently. Ultimately, final approval rests within the sound discretion of City Council. That you have the final say over whether or not to approve or disapprove the development, or if you want to approve it subject to conditions. Procedurally, the process starts with a request for qualifications, and that's where I perceive we're at tonight. That's the first step in the CPD option. Procedurally, you can either approve subject to conditions, or deny the request for qualifications. Approval of a request for qualifications does not in any way guarantee or represent final approval of a final site plan or the development itself. All that does is it simply moves it along in the process to the next step, which would be to take it to the Planning Commission, where the Planning Commission would hold a public hearing, do a planning review similar to the same type of review that they would do for any site plan, or the same type of review that they've done for the PUD developments that have come up in the past. They then, after doing their review, after holding the public hearing, they make recommendations as to the proposed development, and then send it back to City Council. And then it comes back before City Council. City Council then makes the final decision as to whether or not to approve subject to conditions, or deny the development. So that is just sort of in a nutshell, just sort of an overview of the process and the procedure for this particular request. If you were to approve it tonight, basically all that does is it tells the applicant that they can prepare a final site plan. They haven't done that yet. They have prepared some plans, but the plans that they've prepared and submitted up to this point are not final site plans. They're largely conceptual, just to give you some basic idea of what they want to do. It would be a full engineered site plan that would have to be, comply with all the details and requirements of our site plan ordinance. And that is what they would prepare. Once they prepared that, then it would go to the Planning Commission for their review and for their recommendation and for the public hearing. Once it comes back to council, if council were to approve it, then there would be a development agreement that I would prepare and draft, and then I would bring that back, and that's a negotiated agreement between the city and the developer. I would work with their attorney or their representative, whoever it is that they designated for me to work with, and finalizing the details of the development agreement, which would contain all the terms and conditions for the development as imposed by council, and then the development agreement would then be brought back before council for their consideration. So that is the overview of the process. So tonight, you can either approve subject to conditions, or deny the request for qualifications. Once again, all that does is move it to the next step in the process. You could also, another option tonight would be to, if you feel you need further information or detail regarding the proposal, you could refer it to city staff and consultants, and they could take a closer look at it and bring back more memos and more information about what they're proposing if you felt you needed that tonight. If you're comfortable that you have enough information before you tonight to make a decision, then you can make that decision tonight.
City Attorney, if we put it on behalf of the staff to come to an agreement, would the developer have to come back to City Council to get that approval to then go to Planning Commission?
Yeah, if you decided to do a further investigation before acting on the request for qualifications, then, it would go to city staff and consultants, whoever you directed to take a further look at it. They would take a further look at it. They would then do their review and prepare their memos and recommendations, and then it would come back before council at the next meeting thereafter, and then you'd make a decision at that point, based on that additional information, whether or not you wanted to move it to the next step and send it to the Planning Commission.
Perfect, thank you.
Or you can do that tonight, or you can deny it tonight.
So, just for clarification, requesting for future qualifications is what is we would be moving it on to the Planning Commission to set up public meetings and things, going a step further. Is that correct? When you
Yes, if
say-
you were to approve their request for qualifications tonight, that would move it to the next step in the process, which would be to send it to the Planning Commission for a public hearing and a review and a recommendation by Planning Commission. And then it would get sent back to City Council for final action.
And within that step to go to Planning Commission includes the staff review, or is that?
Yeah, when it goes to the Planning Commission, the review that will occur there would be the same that would occur for any site plan development that came before the Planning Commission, which would include, involving the city planner and doing a planning review. They would have to pay escrows, to pay for the consultant reviews. It would likely, there would be some involvement by the engineer likely as well at the Planning Commission level. Just the typical site plan review process that we would undergo for any site plan application for any other development. In addition to the public hearing.
Precisely.
So is everybody semi-clear on what our options are? Okay. Any Anybody feel ready?
My assessment would be that to go with the qualifications, and that it moves the process along, because then it still gives the planning commission a chance to see a site plan and see exactly what they want to do, and then predicated on the public hearing, that would determine what our recommendations from the planning commission would be to council.
I agree. I think the process,
That seems to be the optimal way to go.
I would agree. I think the process
So,
should move along.
I'll make a motion to move this development forward by requesting for further qualifications onto the planning commission.
Okay.
I think that's what we're looking for, if
Could you define
Yeah.
qualifications again?
Yeah, you could, if the intent is to move it to the next step and send it to the planning commission, then the motion I would recommend would be to approve the applicant's request for qualifications and send the matter, move the development to the next step and send it to the planning commission.
that's the motion I'll make.
Okay.
Get that, John?
Is there a second?
And I would second that.
Okay. Everyone clear on what we're doing?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
I have one question. When was the last time we did a parking study in downtown?
It's been a while. I can even remember the last time we did a parking study. We're going to be doing we're going to be doing surveys tonight. That's one of the presentations we got. We do have parking issues downtown, but the definition of a parking issue is in the eye of the beholder. My experience tells me that the parking problem is when your parking spaces are empty. It's not when they're full. You have too many parking spaces full, that means you got traffic. It's all in how you perceive it. I don't think parking is what stops this process from going forward. There'll be other issues, political issues. I like the motion, since we've got that, to get it to the planning commission. I think you get the public involved early. Planning commission has one public hearing, but they can have more. City council could declare a public hearing. I think you let everybody downtown talk. I think it will be a parking discussion, the definition of parking issue. We shouldn't be providing parking to all the surrounding businesses. They're doing nothing more than what the other businesses do. We've got businesses downtown. We got rentals downtown that have no parking space whatsoever, but they're renting to several people, whatever. So I'm not sure that's inconsistent with what we've already done. So yeah, it would change the dynamic downtown, but it doesn't mean it's changing it for bad reasons. It could be good.
I just think we need to look
I
at it.
guess that was my concern when I was asking about the parking questions. I know what Mindy is saying, that we're gonna have a parking study. I've been here, I'm not gonna say X number of years, because then I'll tell you how old I am.
100.
But we've been having a parking problem ever since I can remember, and it's almost back to when they used to park their horse and buggies. But if we stop development because we have a parking issue, we'll never get anything going downtown. But yet, if we don't work something out with somebody that wants to bring in a big development like they're talking here,
You got to bring it forward.
we're gonna be tarred and feathered if
A parking
we don't.
problem is when nobody's parking in the
That's right.
spots. When nobody's coming, that's a parking problem. When you have too many, man, that's debatable. That means there's traffic. That means the
That's right.
businesses are making money. That means people are downtown. So let's deal with that. Let's get it to the planning commission like the motion says, and have that,
Yeah, I agree
there's
completely.
public hearing, get the public involved. I'm thinking there's going to be some pushback. You must be ready for that. We've been ready for that. It's a little different than the last one. They were going to get rid of a road. The spot that they didn't want developed turned into a multi-story, huge complex that they call in a home, a house. And it's got more garages than most subdivisions have. So that's any better or worse? It depends on how you look at it. If you live there, it's great. If you don't, it blocks the view of the village. So let's give them a shot. Let's let the
We have
public
to
have a
move
say,
forward.
and we'll deal with the parking issue. Ms. Pest is going to do a presentation for you tonight about what came out of the DDA. We'll talk about downtown development and how that coincides with anything they're doing, but your motion's good. Administration, we support your motion. Let's go ahead and get it to Planning Commission and have a discussion about it there and see what their ultimate solution is, if there is one. So let's get it there.
We'll have a lot of discussion.
Yes.
Motion, we have a- got a motion, we have a second.
Second, we have,
Roll call.
any further? Roll call, please.
Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
good luck to
Thank
you.
you.
I'm sure we'll be seeing and hearing more of your development.
We look forward to it.
We'll be talking.
We'll put this on the agenda for the next month. Ms. Jakeway? Next month, whenever we can get it. So we'll do a presentation there. You'll find out what you need to do to get that done, kick it up a notch, whatever you're missing from now, and see what we can do to impress.
Yeah, so would that be September 10th for that? Do I meet those qualifications for like the 20-day public hearing? Or?
Continue to do what you've done with the same people. And
Okay.
I don't know if you realize that or not, but there's 2 members here who are on the Planning Commission.
Okay, awesome.
I'm on the Planning Commission, amazingly. I vote, and so does Councilmember Osnick. So we're interested to hear what you got.
Yeah, we definitely have some more follow-up questions because the CPD is a little confusing a little bit,
Keep
so.
working with the people you're working with, and
Will
let's
do.
see what we can get it, if we can get it on the Planning Commission at the next meeting, which would be in September, I guess, then we'll move it forward.
Okay,
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
And the state would probably be involved there because they.
Okay. Do we have any requests for agenda changes?
No.
We're kind of doing things in different order tonight. Okay, audience participation. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? Well, let's have a race, boys. Come on.
Oh, I love it.
May the longest legs win.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and our City Admin. Ajay Raman, Oakland County Commissioner. Pleasure to see everybody here today. I know the last presentation ran a little bit long, so I'll keep it really short. Just want to give you a few quick updates on the county. Everything's going well at the county. We've been very busy. As you know, I'm the Vice Chair of the Finance Committee, and we're currently in budget hearings. So it's been very, very busy, to say the least. I will tell you, and I'm very proud to tell you, that Oakland County remains one of the strongest, fiscally strong counties, not only in the state of Michigan, but in the entire country. We just got our AAA bond rating renewed through both S&P and Moody's, and we're very proud of that. We're continuing to operate in a very fiscally responsible way. We're looking to also increase funding for things like the Sheriff's Office, the Prosecutor's Office, mental health spending, something very near and dear to my heart. We're trying to increase funding for co-responders for the Sheriff's Office is something we're working with as well. So lots of good things in the pipeline. I'm very excited about all those things. Similarly, if there's anything from your standpoint that you feel like from a county perspective that we could do better or can offer to a city like Wall Lake, please continue to let me know. I've had several good conversations of things that we're hoping to do here in the short term. I've had a conversation recently here with our Mayor Pro Tem as well about some things happening in Wall Lake, and if there are resources that we can provide. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I know we talked a little bit about the downtown area and some of the improvements that are going to need to happen in the short term based on the study. Looking for opportunities, whether it's through SEMCOG, the Road Commission, things like that, to basically look under every rock we can to try to find some funding to help in any way. So just wanted to put that out there. So if there's anything, again, feel free to let me know, but everything's going really well. So thank
We
you.
want to know when you become chairman of the Finance Committee.
Oh,
Next goal.
we've got some time yet. We've got our chair who's still
Couple
there.
minutes away, but
We're getting there. We're getting there. But we're doing a lot of good work. I'm really excited about what we're doing. So
Oh,
yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for coming, Commissioner.
Thank you. Second.
Nice to meet all of you finally in person. I am Jerry Millen, DDA member, 105 East Walled Lake Drive. I'm just here because I'm excited because we move something to your table. You're going to talk a little bit later tonight to improve our downtown, a site survey. And I think it's great because we're on the radar. We have a great downtown. Right now, the infrastructure sucks. Let's be honest. So we need the survey, and I will hope you'll push that through. More importantly, that downtown is a diamond in the rough. You know, we're down there every day trying to get people to come. We do about 700 to 1,000 people a day at our business. Those people would stay and shop at other businesses if we improve that downtown, because it's bad. And we can't Band-Aid it anymore. I've been here 10 years. Your father started this conversation. You know, rest in peace, Casey. And hopefully we can finish that because it's important. You know, my family, my team, we work really hard down there. And we get a lot of pushback. And we finally have a chance to fix it. So I'm begging you, please fix this downtown. It makes such a huge difference to this community. People are watching us. We're on the news, a lot of changes going on. Now's the time. I'm begging you, please, let's get this done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can only agree with Mr. Millen. We've talked so many years of making Wall Lake in our business district a destination. And when you get there, you stay and you shop and you do stuff. But what is there to do? You either go to Jerry Millen's or you go to the beach. And it's sad, but we need to work on it. And that's what we're trying to do. Let's put our town together. Okay, anyone else in the audience? Nobody? Okay.
Did we have a request for additions to the agenda? Good.
Request for agenda changes was
Okay.
already.
You already did.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
have one.
passed.
You didn't speak up, but we'll let you
It was
go
me.
ahead and do it now.
I just want to add the waste contract,
The what?
the waste contract with
Okay.
Priority Waste.
Where would you like to put that at? Let's see. Probably down city manager?
Yep, probably.
Probably.
Okay, we'll add it as number 3. Okay. Anyone else missed the chance to change the agenda?
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Now we've got approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Was to make the motion to approve the minutes of the June 18th council meeting, correct?
The what?
I'm just correcting for what was in the
Oh, okay.
council packet.
Right, there was no meeting on July 16th.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
It's all right. That's why we have double
The
check.
agenda was made back in May, so.
I was gonna say, I don't remember a meeting on
Yep.
my
You didn't
birthday, but
attend?
that's
Thank
okay. Maybe I forgot it.
Ambrose will second the June approval.
Most accepted it already.
Oh, did you? Well, let's vote on it.
We're all happy.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Goodness gracious. Okay, council report. Cindy.
We did meet with the Parks and Rec Commission, and just so many things going on. We got our concerts, we've got the farm market, which I think has been going great. I've heard all great things about it. Been down there a couple times. Really nice vendors doing all kinds of things. So come on down Wednesday mornings.
Thank you. Bennett.
I have a library report. We met last Friday, and the library millage from August 6th passed. And from our library director and our library board and I want to thank our residents for continuing to support our library, our gem of a library. Just a few things to go over. Our interior renovation is complete, and we've received positive responses from many people. Our library director, Carrie, has worked hard to convert all of our materials from outdated and old to what's current and relevant. And a statistic just came out that we have the 7th most out of the 57 TLN libraries, the library network libraries, for circulated materials, both physical and digital. 99% of our materials are circulated through this group. So, I mean, we've really got our materials in line with what people are looking for. Year end was just June 30th. We added $88,000 to our fund balance. And this includes coming in under budget with the renovation and also with our director keeping control of monthly expenses. And our fund balance is now $305,000, which represents about 65% of a year's expense, which is extremely healthy. Just a few different things. Digital circulation has doubled in the last 5 years. And I don't know if people really know that this is available at our library. Libby, which is for books, and Hoopla, which is books and music and movies, and Mango, language and learning, and Creative Bug, which are crafts. So we saw 1,640 patrons last year, and which is about 70 per day. And we had 204 programs, 110 kid programs, and 94 adult programs. And just last month, we had 23 programs with 300 plus attendees. So the library is being used. And lastly, Carrie has developed a great team that makes for a positive environment for all of our users. So please call or come in to utilize our excellent library services. That is my report.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And there's nothing to report from the planning commission.
We gonna skip Mr. Ambrose?
I attended the DDA meeting, and it sounds like more is to come, so let's get on to it.
Okay, that sounds good too. And
I just said, there's
and
nothing to
planning
report
commission's
from
yet
the
to
planning
come. Mayor Pro Tem Woods.
Nothing need to report.
Nothing to report, my goodness. Okay, the mayor's report. You have in your packet a proposed resolution in recognition of service of member Mr. Paul Novak. I would hope and assume that the council will pass this resolution. And I'm not sure if we've done it in the past. It's been a long time since, fortunately, we've lost a board member through death. Do we pass a copy of it on to the family, Jennifer?
I will certainly do self-directed,
Okay, I
absolutely.
think that would be appropriate in the motion. So if we could have a motion at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Lublin
A
supports.
resolution of the city council providing recognition of the expressing gratitude with appreciation for Mr. Paul Novak for his years of volunteer service to the city council by serving as a planning commission member, this being resolution 2024-26.
Okay, motion's been made by Osnick and supported, I believe that was Mr. Bennett. And I think it's very appropriate that council do this. Any comments? We ready for a roll call, please?
Osnick?
Yes.
Woods?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Lublin?
Yes.
Ackley?
Yes.
Thank you.
And other than that, I would just like to say, I think we've made some steps tonight. I know we all have concerns. I think we all want to see, as Mr. Millen said, our downtown begin to grow and thrive, and I hope that we can, and I hope that this project can work with the city, give and take, and maybe be a new project in our downtown. Let's see where it goes, and the best of luck to the developers. It's been a long time vacant. Okay, city manager's report, sir.
Mayor Ackley, member of councils, I was requested you move to receive and file the consent agenda consisting of police, fire, finance, warrant, and code enforcement.
Motion, please.
I'll make the motion to receive and file the June and July statistical reports.
Is there a support?
Support.
We have a support. Are there any questions, comments? Being none, please roll call.
Woods?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Lublin?
Yes.
Osnick?
Yes.
Ackley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 2, downtown.
Item number 2, before I go to that, let me touch on a couple of things so that you know we don't have anything to report on the development we commonly call the Starbucks development. That's on Decker and 14 Mile. They're in the process, no concerns, but it just takes a long time to get all the approvals and to finalize it. So that hasn't been done. Perhaps we'll be able to give you a better report next meeting. The Speedway U-Totem project, actually 7-Eleven project on 14 Mile, that's in the process too, which
15 mile or 14 mile?
14 Mile and Decker, I'm sorry, Maple and Decker. And so that's in the process too, but we have nothing to report to you other than, it's the same with the school property, you know, we got nothing to report to you. School board seems to be on autopilot down there, so we don't know where they're going with any of that. How long's it been? Don't even ask the questions, rhetorical. A long time, no development. By next meeting, we'll give you those final reports. So as those things are going, if you've driven by, not if you've driven by, when you've driven by Pontiac and look at the development by the trail down there, you see that new Taco Bell is coming out of the ground fast and furious. I know that the council member, Ambrose, is watching it every day when he does his work at his business out back. So they're coming out of the ground. I think yesterday they did the connection, the water connect. They're still underground, they're digging, so you'll see that closed up pretty quickly. I think they got it, and like to see that open pretty quickly. And as they begin to open, we'll be meeting with them to talk about how the site plan looks, making adjustments to coincide with our trail opening and development there. So those are the 3 developments or 4 developments that have not really changed much. But if you drive by the Taco Bell, you'll see that's coming out of the ground, and that probably is up and running very shortly. We would predict October, I don't know, maybe. Couple of businesses in town are still not doing their job. Code enforcement, don't want to get into that tonight because we got other things to do, but some not so good neighbors, but we're dealing with that. Police chief's the police chief again, so he's going to jump on that and get that done. Same thing with Bazanzo's, we got issues there. I know that some people are concerned about Ladd Road. That begins to, the latest word is the contractors are going to start doing some work the beginning of September. This is August, September, couple of weeks. You would think they would get that done before school, but maybe not. Either way, if it gets going, and then we'll talk about the sidewalks that goes from Maple to the trail, but only after they do the overlay. If that gets done the way we think it's supposed to get done, it's going to get done from our side. Our portion would be from Pontiac all the way up to the trail on Ladd, but they're going to continue that up Ladd Road to McCoy, maybe make a left turn, go over to Benstein, so that whole area will be improved there. At that point is when we get serious about putting the sidewalks in, a sidewalk from Maple to tie in those subdivisions down there to the trail so they can walk to that and get that going. So that's where we are now. I don't have a lot of extra information there. Probably by next meeting, we'll have some more specifics that we can give you. And so what I'd like to do now is move on to number 2 and have Ms. Pesta ring up our presentation for what the DDA did. I would accolades to the DDA for grabbing a hold of this and getting us started on what's going to be a big deal downtown, or could be. So, Ms. Pesta, are you ready?
I believe so. Thank you, sir.
Give the council the same presentation. This is similar to the presentation we gave to the DDA. DDA approved it. As you know, they approved the survey. So, but there's more that you need to know or hear out loud as a city council about what this involves. The beginning is a survey. Think survey. Think you need to know an inventory of what's downtown. So go. Ms. Pesta, you're on.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening. Just some, what we're going to cover for tonight is what was discussed last week at the DDA meeting. Just a quick overview of what's been going in our downtown, the Department of Transportation investigation that we had, their letter of finding that occurred from that, and then we're going to talk about some opportunities for the downtown development as well as council with some sidewalk work and stormwater. And they also did approve to receive and file, as of last week, Boss Engineering surveying proposal, which we're looking for confirmation with council tonight. This is a quick overview of our current DDA boundary. It is outlined in the black dots that you can see. It basically goes from this public safety campus all the way down to our beautiful downtown on the beach. This is just a quick little aerial view of our downtown from Northport all the way to East Walled Lake Drive. You can see the couple blocks right there, which is our main focus. And then here's another area view of our downtown all the way from Nicollet.
Okay, slow down. This is an area that we're looking at rehabilitating. The previous slide shows Northport. My view is we need to consider all the way to Nicollet, which is further up. You can see it's at the top of your screen. And maybe even to Hillcroft. Some of you may think that we need to go a little further than just Witherall in terms of the surveying and what we need to do. And that's on the agenda for discussion. But this picture it doesn't show Hillcroft here. Hillcroft's the next street over, one street over from Witherall. Nicollet is the one that's above, it's on the other side of, I think that top
That is,
building
Yeah,
is the
Nicolette's right at
church.
the top.
So on the top of that would be Nicollet, and then there's a vacant lot there, which probably is subject to development of some kind in the future, but maybe we want to consider factoring that in terms of what redeveloping curb and gutter, whatever we go to. But when we first started discussing that, it started downtown. But if you're going to talk about redoing downtown, as Mr. Millen pointed out, that's downtown. And so we need to talk about all of that. So it's not only, well, you see Nicollet there, and that's where I would go in terms of surveying and knowing what the infrastructure is and what the inventory is, but also probably going all the way to Hillcroft. Some of you may disagree, you get to do that. That's part of your role. Okay, how big is this going to be? But that's kind of a snapshot of where we're going tonight in terms of what we're looking for tonight and what we'll be looking for in the future. So I'm going to interrupt you at every turn here.
That's fine.
So let's go to the next one. Go ahead.
Never mind, I'll hold my thought.
Okay. So in 2021, the City of Walled Lake received an ADA complaint that was filed as of June 4th, 2020. And then just as of June 26th of this year, did we finally receive a letter of finding from the U.S. Department of Transportation.
All right, you can leave it there. So that's the outline person, those are the folks who complain. There was a lot of politics going on then. They had to fight with their neighbor, which would have been the greenhouse, for different reasons, and the fight with the city. So they thought it was prudent to file a complaint with the Department of Transportation. That's the local entity, or essentially for an ADA, meaning the federal compliance with the ADA. They filed a complaint way back when. It took them that long to get to that. When ADA came out, they measured poles, they measured distances, they do that. And but the complaint came from those people who thought that was a cute idea. Essentially, they're going to help pay for this remediation of it. And so that came out of that. It was nothing but a political gesture. Nothing's happened downtown. Very little has changed in terms of the grandfathering clause. We could probably in the business of saying, okay, we're going to argue with the Department of Justice about what we should do about it, but that's a no-win situation, you know. So let's fix it, and let's fix all of it downtown. But the original complaint came from those people who allegedly have been here for 40 years. So that gives them a right to demand the citizens in Tri-A and every other to pay for what they should be paying for. Yet they still own part of that sidewalk. So it came from them. Make no mistake, that's where it started. To fix that immediately would be to close down several of the parking spots, make them ADA approved, you know, that blue marking, then use the rest of the parking spots for a ramp that gets them up, and we fix it so all of the parking spots disappear out in front to make those people happy to go in to shop at their cannoli shop, which is hardly ever open with cannolis. Anyway, that's what you got. But we have to comply, otherwise they will file with Department of Justice. We will lose because they got a lot of money and they'll fight. No point in fighting. We need to fix it. You can't win that argument, so we need to fix it. But if we're going to fix anything, we need to fix it all. This is the beginning, so they actually helped us, but they're going to pay for it too. The people there, everybody there, I'm sorry, Mr. Millen, you're here, you're going to pay a lot, I hope. So everybody there is going to pay because she's going to tell you later is called a SAD, and it seems sad because they're going to pay. That's a special assessment district. So move on.
Ms. Chelsea, just for the
Is
record.
anybody confused about who made the complaint?
No, but for
The bakery made the complaint.
For the record.
Anybody confused? The bakery made the complaint because they thought it was cute.
Perfect.
To make us look bad as a
Wanted it
city.
in the record.
The bakery made the complaint, and it's gonna cost a lot of money for everybody.
I just have one other clarity. They have great cannolis.
They do, they have great cannolis. I had one once.
They're outstanding.
11 years ago, I had a cannoli. You haven't bought one lately. Anyway, move on, Ms. Festa.
Please move on.
So just a quick overview of what they found that we were not compliant with, that there were gaps and breaks greater than 1/4 inch in the sidewalks along the north side and south side of East Walled Lake Drive between Liberty and North Pontiac Trail. There were 15 marked on-street parking spaces on the block perimeter, none of which were accessible. On the northeast corner of North Pontiac Trail and East Walled Lake Drive, the cross slope of the sidewalk is 5.6%. There were no detectable warning at the northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest corners of the intersection of North Pontiac Trail and East Walled Lake Drive. At the southeast corner of North Pontiac Trail and East Walled Lake Drive, the location of the pedestrian push buttons exceeds the permitted 10-inch maximum depth of obstruction. Here, you're going to see just a video taken by DPW Superintendent Mr. Ladd. This is one of our last big storms that we had where it washed out the beach completely. If you watch closely, you can see how East Walled Lake Drive is completely flooded and underground.
Underwater.
This,
Underwater, underground. Thank you.
These videos were not taken for the purpose of a presentation. They were taken for the purpose of showing me, my superintendent, he was on his game that day and he took the videos, and it turns out they're very useful for showing you how bad it can get downtown. There's another one coming. It's going to show the ruts that come up on the property that they want to
This is actually our current
develop.
scepter that we had installed. So
There
you
you
can
go.
see how it is working. It is collecting all the water, but the water is just more intense than what our
You can only drink
new
so fast.
system that we just put underground for.
You can only drink so fast.
It can only drain so fast.
receptor too.
It's a huge receptor.
Ginormous.
You got
This-
the next one with the
Yep, it's
ruts?
coming right now. This is right across from the beach, looking up Witherall. Right here is where everything from the side of that property is running down, and it just sits right at the corner. And then the last slide is going up to Witherall. You can see we fill that in almost on a weekly basis, but when these heavy storms come, it is completely washed out within a heavy storm. If you look clearly to the left, you can see where it's running out of the pipe just profusely.
You see the ruts that are happening? Our team is so good. They clean this up and fix it up literally every time there's a rain. They fix it up so quickly that people do not realize how bad that is in terms of the drainage and all of that. It's the same with the beach. We clean it up as rapidly as it gets damaged, so people, they kind of lose track of how bad it gets. But the drainage, the system is pretty rough down there. We send our team down there regularly. I mean, every time there's a storm, they're there first. All the priority gets shifted to that, and they clean it up. So most folks, including members of council, they don't realize how bad it can get. That's an example of how big it is. You saw the ruts, and they come regularly. If we left that undone, that property would be washed away. But we don't do that because that's our downtown, and we're cleaning it up every time. What we're looking to do sometime in the future is remedy that by the proper engineering, the proper curb and gutter and those kind of things. And that's where we're headed with tonight's presentation. So keep going.
This has been a working process over the last couple years. This isn't, we're going in cold. We have been doing work throughout the years with Art Boss Engineering. So this is just a snapshot of what we recently did with the improvements to Mercer Beach. So if we continue to move forward with projects, we left things open, as a matter of fact, to where we could connect the sewer from Witherall Street to Mercer Beach. So we've put a couple stubs from the Mercer Beach project alone so we could continue making future improvements to our downtown. So we have been waiting for this moment to keep this alive. We've also done some right-of-way easement work through Boss Engineering. So this is just a snapshot from Pontiac Trail to Liberty of some of the work that's already been collected. Another slide from then Liberty to Furland Street of what we can find underground and above ground. And then lastly, from Furland to Witherall is some of the work that's already been collected over the years.
You went pretty quick. You guys need to see that more or whatever. Those are quick snapshots of what we've already done. So what we're looking to do here is to do more in the surrounding areas. But if you need to see that, we can back it up. If not, we'll move on. But this is work that some of it's already been done because of the work we did on the beach and stuff like that. So if they don't have a question, let's move on.
So as of Tuesday, the DDA did approve the survey work proposed from Boss Engineering. It was for $20,000. So we're looking for City Council tonight to approve DDA's approval to receive and file Boss Engineering's work for the survey work. It is from Northport to East Walled Lake Drive to survey the entire downtown right there from that area. And then the next step would be to determine and create a special assessment district. And then the third step for council to consider is how to pay for those improvements and repairs in the downtown.
Would now be the appropriate time if council chooses? I firmly believe, I think it should be extended so that it goes, if it's whatever it is, it goes at least beyond the beach, would take it to a little bit further to Hilltop.
Well, if you're talking about what we originally talked about, again, the original complaint came, but we're not about that anymore. We're talking about taking a look at all downtown. The inventory of downtown starts with a survey. Call it whatever you want, but until you survey, you know what the easements are, you know what's underground, on top of the ground. So we're talking about an inventory. It begins with the word survey. So if you want to survey it, my guess is surveying from Nicolette, which borders that other property, all the way over to Hillcroft, rather than just Witherall. All of that surveyed. Ultimately, the city council and the DDA gets to decide certain things depending on how we move forward with this. So, but I think the city and the DDA needs to know what exists in terms of easements and right-of-ways and underground and what. If you've been down there lately, you've seen all these markings and stuff like that. Dan, what's yellow mean? It means consumer energy, right?
What's blue mean?
Well, you see all those. What's that mean? That means that they've been out looking. There have been some other work, but I think that had to do with our young friend here who's boring on that property. But I had the engineers out doing some preliminary work. They call it misdig, so they're coming out identifying the utilities underground, and that's what the spray painting is about and all that. So we're moving ahead. I think that if you make when you make a motion, say make sure we get all the way up to Nicolette and all the way up to Hillcroft, and then we come back with the survey, knowing what our easements are, what we got, what's underground, where as best we can determine what's underground, and then the city council gets to decide in the future what we're going to fix. The time you decide what you want to fix, what you want to improve, how you want to go about that, it all turns on what that's going to cost. How you're going to pay for it. So it starts off with a special assessment district. Special assessment district means how big is the district going to be? What are you going to fix? Downtown, you're talking about, my guess is we're talking about a taking of some kind. City council knows about that because we've taken some property even since I've been here. A small part, but it's the same difference. Taking, condemnation is the word they use. So we're talking about a taking, we're talking about a special assessment district, we're talking about funding a project. you guys can all guess what's it gonna be. It's gonna be $1 million, it's gonna be 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. Either way, it's more money than we got in the bank, so you're gonna have to fund it. So if you decided it's gonna be 1 million, or 2 million, or 3 million, to fix whatever you decide, it means you have to fund it. But when you do a special assessment district, the first year in taxes, you don't get 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. What you have to do is you have to borrow, and that's called a bond issue. So now you're talking about a bond issue for 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, whatever the size of this ends up being. And so you're talking about committing the taxes from the special assessment district to the bond. You issue bonds, official statements, the whole process, and then you design what it is you're going to do, and you let the contract, and you say start fixing it, and then you pay from the proceeds of the bond sales. And so we're talking about a whole lot of real municipal stuff, real DDA stuff, and I'm suggesting that we probably should do most of this through the DDA, if not all of it, which means that we invite the city attorney to come over and be the DDA's attorney, maybe for the first time ever. There's no reason to double up. We're all on the same side nowadays. So he moves forward. He becomes the advisor to the DDA. I'm the executive director. And we move forward through the DDA process. To the extent that it becomes a better deal to come to the city, we do that. But the DDA can probably do all of this. That's how it started. That's what the DDA is for. DDA, Downtown Development Authority. My goodness, what if they were actually developing downtown as opposed to throwing parties and meetings and trips and things like that? So what we're looking for tonight is simply this. Be receptive to the ideas that we're saying we need to fix downtown. Approve the $20,000 plus and any additional it needs to take to do the surveying, which we'll get back to you and the DDA, and then be prepared to move forward on terms of special assessments. And once we know what we're talking about, certainly we're going to do downtown. We're going to do a couple of Wall Lake Drive. That's the beginning. But how far out? I don't know why we jury rig this and do only part of it. Take a look at the big picture and decide. You guys ultimately get to decide, because you ultimately approve the DDA's budget too. You have to approve their budget amendment, and that's what's on the agenda tonight. A budget amendment. Your motion should say survey everything downtown you want it to say, and it could be from Nicollet to Hillcroft, and I would recommend you do that. And then when we get the survey back, you folks are going to know what we got, and then you get to decide. Those will be the tough questions. You're going to get people who are going to start asking questions about what that's going to cost me. And it will cost people. It will. If you're going to fix it, it's going to cost money. But I don't think Tri-A, I don't think Chestnut Hills, I don't think that any of the other subdivisions should be paying for what needs to be fixed downtown. So you get to decide how that works.
The proposal, City Manager, Mr. City Manager, the proposal for the $20,000 that was provided by Boss Engineering, does that price include going from Nicollet to Hillcroft down to East Walled Lake Drive, or will Boss?
It may cost more to expand it, but that's not, if you make the motion properly, then it's 20,000, and within that, we'll pick up, or we'll go back to the DDA. The DDA is all about, I mean, I'm telling you right now, they want something to happen downtown. The DDA, this is the best DDA we've ever had in terms of the membership. They know what it means to be the authority. They want to fix things. And they've funded all kinds of things that are stunning. Before, it was more about having a festival or something. I don't know. That's not what we're doing now. And so the DDA will fund whatever, and what doesn't get funded by the DDA City Council, and I'll bring you a way to do that through the general fund, and we're going to get it done. But I believe you should do all the way to Nicollet and consider all of the things that need to be done. But the surveying needs to get right up on next to Wynwood, right there at the doorstep of Wynwood, and I think there's a vacant field there. I'm not sure who owns that nowadays, but it's undeveloped. It's next door to the mechanic shop. You know, I think they call it Detroit Mechanics now. It used to be the muffler shop, whatever. But that's where we go, from there all the way to the beach. And Hillcroft is a great idea. I think there's no reason not to include them in terms of the survey. Ultimately, you may not decide to do a lot of work on those places, but you guys get to decide that. That's why you get the big bucks. You get to decide those hard
You
questions.
just said a very important, the survey will give us the full scope, and we want it to be complete. But as far as the complete project, doing
That you-
all of the work.
We're not even
then
close.
We're talking dollars.
We're not
and
even
cents,
close to
and
that.
That's a
not-
whole nother.
We're not close to
yet.
knowing what the project's going to be until you know what the survey brings out. The survey is more than just a survey for us. It will be an inventory of what we got. And the inventory meaning, okay, we start combining what we know exists, buildings, churches, different things, who pays, and you get to decide. And ultimately, you're going to find out that you get to decide how you make the assessments when we get to a special assessment district. But make no mistake, you're going to do a special assessments district downtown, whether it's just on that one street or whether it's going to fix all of downtown. I don't recommend you jury rig this and do part of downtown. If you're going to do it, take a big bite and fix it all. We've been talking about this for 14 years that I've been here, probably all of the time that the mayor's been here.
40, 50 years.
You've been on
Yeah,
the
at
DDA.
least.
When did you get on the DDA?
Like 2000.
Okay, that's,
Oh, you're just a
But I've-
baby.
I've
that's
been here
24
since
years ago. Were they not talking,
I've been here
were they
since
not talking,
1967. It's
were
been
they not talking about it when you got on the DDA?
absolutely talking about.
There you go. Let's move it ahead, and you only need
Before we
to,
move any farther, the chair is going to recognize Mr. Millen before he has heart failure back here. I think he wants to say something.
Thank you, Chair.
He's been waving his
Yeah.
hands and jumping up and
Nobody
down.
would stop talking. I'm like, just give me a second. No. Real quick, since we're doing this, and we're gonna do it hopefully, can we do the survey down? I own 118, the corner there, Walled Lake Drive and Pontiac Trail. I'm gonna develop that corner as soon as a couple things fall into place.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna get developed. Why not stretch the survey down in front of that, empty lot that I have right now? At least survey it to figure out what it would cost. Because we talked in the DDA meeting, maybe I could put parallel parking there. I want to develop the corner. If we're gonna do the downtown, to me, that corner in the future is gonna be part of our downtown. So if we're gonna take a look at it, let's take a look at it now, because I'm fully ready to develop that as soon as a few pieces fall into place. So I would like to ask you to take the survey just down at least to the nail salon. Jen's Nails, I believe it is, just to have that corner surveyed. So, and I want to point out too that,
That's a good idea.
yeah, and I want to point out too that I've probably already spent about $25,000 on that corner. I hope you guys would walk the downtown, because we got potholes on the streets, we got cement raised this high from a tenant throwing an overlay on top of it. I redid the corner, walked the corner. The whole corner's been redone with brick, all slag sand. I've raised and lowered all the sidewalks, put some new sidewalks in. So that corner's good. Just want to see the rest of it look that way. So if you would just stretch it down there, I'd appreciate it.
I see no problem with it.
yeah,
We
no.
have, we've seen,
Part of the survey.
it's all part of the survey. We've seen the.
if we're on the other side of the street, then we'll do all of that. That one corner, not your corner, the other corner is atrocious, I'm not sure what kind of a business it is, they got abandoned cars on the corner and stuff like that. It's an old garage of some kind, and it really is not, they're not necessarily good neighbors either. They just park whatever. We could survey on I'm fine with going across the street. I want to know what the inventory is so this council can make decisions about how we fix it in the future. So that's fine. If you fashion a motion tonight to saying approve what they did and get the rest of it done, we're good, because I'll give that order to literally tomorrow to move ahead.
Let's do it.
What additional amount are you looking for?
Yeah, I don't know what that
Okay,
motion would
who's
look
ready
like.
to make the motion?
I don't know the additional amount. I don't think it's going to be that much more, but we'll pick it up. With this discussion, you've just now given me authority to do that. So whatever it is, I'll take it back to DDA. If somehow they say we're not paying $6 more grand or $5 more grand or $3 more grand, then the DDA doesn't, but certainly the city council just did. So if that's the motion, we pick it up one way or the other.
I think that's
I
a
can do
wide-
that. I can do that. My finance director is good like that. She can find a way to spend that money.
Back to, not.
So we're going to
piecemealing
do it
together.
all then.
Let's
We're going to do it all. I
Let's
think that's a
do
good
it all.
idea.
Okay,
Well, I'll make the resolution
how about the motion?
or a motion. I think we have a resolution here.
There is a resolution.
Appropriating The resolution amending and appropriating funds from the Downtown Development Authority fund balance for fiscal year 2024-2025 to approve Boss Engineering to proceed with surveying services for the downtown right-of-way area, that being 2024-27, and the amount in excess of 20,000 to encompass all the way up to Nicolette and all the way over to Northport and even across West Walled Lake Drive and south of Pontiac Trail.
City Clerk, did you get
If you
that?
want Nicolette.
There you go. We got that motion.
Yeah, you want Nicolette.
Nicolette up high.
All the way to Hillcroft.
And Hillcroft.
Yep.
When you see that in the minutes, it's going to be perfect.
You got all that, Jennifer?
Jennifer
And
can
Osanek
read
will
on
second that.
Oh, yeah.
Bennett, Osanek will second that.
Thank you.
All right, any further?
And the clerk can figure it out later. Okay. Are we finished with discussion? We have a motion, we have a second. Okay, let's have a roll call.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Lublin,
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're on to waste.
I'm good, Mayor. I'm done.
We had
No,
a.
we
Added something to your.
We added number 3 to you.
Yeah,
What's that?
We added a third
Priority
one.
waste
Waste.
discussion.
Priority waste, your favorite discussion.
All I can say about priority waste is it took them 5 days to pick up my garbage, not trash, not five days. I live literally a stone's throw from here. I live on the other side of the Commerce, but it's like 5 minutes away. Thursday, they're supposed to pick it up. They didn't pick it up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And Monday night, they picked up my garbage. Garbage. Understand that garbage is different than, so my complaint would be bigger and worse than Wall Lake. The truth is, our complaints are not as, I wouldn't say they're not as bad as some communities. If you're the one who didn't get your garbage picked up, that rings hollow because you're angry. We've been working with the team, the Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority. We work directly with them. Ms. Pesta is the treasurer. So we work with, you've seen Mike come here, Sapo, he comes here, so we're working with them, and he's always looking for, they got some arbitrary grading system. You either get an A, you either do or you don't. This is the old Yoda, there's no try. You either get it or you don't, and they haven't. The rollout was terrible. I think all the newspapers are covering it, even Channel 4, 2, whatever. They're being sued. Some people are withholding. I think some entities, some local governments are holding the fees. I don't recommend we have that discussion. We're too small to be on the lead of withholding money, because if you withhold money to a corporation, they might target you, and so you'll be the last one to be picked up. So we'll let West Bloomfield be the last one to get picked up. I gave those instructions to Ms. Pesta to know we're not going to lead that fight about, because we've got a few complaints. And you all know that I understand the complaints because I personally picked up garbage. Dan and his team, we picked up garbage from the condos when the other group didn't pick it up. So I know how that works. But our situation hasn't been as bad, so we're not going to do that. And I gave her that instruction. So she goes to the meeting, and everybody else went there. And then a local city manager went, and, she thought that he and I had talked because he went and goes, we're not leading that. We don't want to be, So it turns out that there's some bigger communities are leading. Is it West Bloomfield?
It's West Bloomfield.
West Bloomfield. They're going to sue. They're going to do that. Here's how that works. No matter what you sue and you get money, whatever they think they're getting, and maybe the residents feel gooder, but that all gets passed on to the consumer. They don't lose money. Corporations don't lose money. We're not in the garbage business. And so until we're able to be in the garbage business, this fight, you have to work with them. If it were a public safety issue where your people are at risk, then you fight. But right now, we got to hope that they work through it and help them work through it. My personal experience could be similar to yours. I'm looking out my window one day last week, and a vehicle went by, and it was a pristine white truck that said Premier on the side of it. And I never heard of Premier Garbage Collection, and it wasn't GFL, the green ones. GFL, Green for Life. Well, maybe not, because they don't exist anymore. And then Priority said Premier. Well, my daughter, you all know, she Googled that, and Premier is a company that rents garbage trucks. The logo on the side was I didn't even know that existed. There's a garbage truck rental service. Now, what that told me was they got a problem with their vehicles. They're renting trucks to pick up garbage and waste. They're having to rent them. And it's consistent with what's in the media that how many trucks did they get that were unserviceable from GFL?
Oh, almost all of them.
Hundreds. The first thing the new company did, again, I'm not defending the new company because I think they should have anticipated some things. The new company assumed, probably management shouldn't have, but they assumed that the trucks they were getting were serviceable. First thing they do is check them, and they find out they don't meet DOT standards. They can't even hit the road. So they're out of vehicles. My first instincts were they're out of people. Could be a combination. People move on or whatever, but their vehicles, if you don't have the vehicles, they are renting vehicles to pick up garbage because the other ones were unserviceable. So that means that through those negotiations, GFL sucked the life out of it, didn't fix any of the vehicles, didn't spend any money on maintenance, jury rigged everything to get it going or whatever. So some of this stuff those are good, I would say they're excuses, but it's arguable that management should have anticipated all that for the rollout. And they didn't, and it's been miserable. It hasn't been as miserable for Wall Lake, I don't believe. Again, for those who may be listening, if they didn't pick up your garbage, then what I'm saying is really hollow. But for the most part, we have not had the same complaints that other people have had. We got nasty people who call, but those same nasty people call about their neighbors too. So it hasn't been as bad. What do we give it a B?
I have a question. Is our garbage, my garbage is being picked up on Thursday. Is anybody's garbage not being, or not, on Wednesday? That's the correct day. Do we have anybody in the city that is not being picked up on Wednesday? I know the recycles.
Well, the answer to that is yes. The answer to that is yes. The
Every
issue
week
is,
has been off. Every week.
well, yeah, the answer to that is yes. The issue is not, is it late? Hopefully they fix that out. The issue is, are they picking it up? And so to withhold money means they never picking up. And there are other, if you follow, in my lifetime, I've seen places where they didn't pick up for years. They had strikes and all kinds of things in different communities throughout the country. They're picking up, they're just late. Their rollout is bad. Their management is not working the way it ought to. I think that's mid-level management. Guys at the top or gals at the top didn't see this coming. They should have. Maybe that makes them bad CEOs. I'm not sure. I know that they got issues with trucks because they're renting them. But our garbage, for the most part, is not as bad as it was back when that other company, we had to pick up the condo. My staff went over and we had the flatbed truck picking up the garbage and bringing it back here and putting it in the dumpsters. That's how bad it was over here for that condo. They just kept missing. We don't have that situation as of today. Do we have any complaints? Nobody called today?
Nobody called today.
So it doesn't mean that they're not being missed and being late. That's a different issue. Not picking up at all is the issue. Again, it's how you spend it. Other communities, they're going, I mean, when you go 5 days and your garbage is sitting out there, you know what grows in there?
Yeah.
Yes, I do too, because I had to wash it out.
Right.
Imagine me washing out a garbage can because it was nasty. They didn't pick it up for 5 days. Garbage, 5 days. And my garbage is pretty light. Some of the other folks in my subdivision, there's a whole lot of stuff out, and it was nasty. They didn't get there for 5 days. Not recycle, it was garbage. I don't know why that happened. I know that's the same place where they brought in the rental trucks, Premier Rental. And so I think that the fight with them will be like, how do we get them to manage this properly? But I'm not sure that Wall Lake ought to be in it, other than know that we monitor it. If it gets to be a public safety issue, then I will take action. If I need the city council's action, I will bring it to them. Public safety means some people are at risk. Being late is not the same thing. If they picked it up the day afterward, that's annoying. It's a breach of contract. Do we shut them down? What do we do if we fire the garbage company? Ask yourself that. Don't even want an answer. You know, we're not in the garbage business. I don't want to be in the garbage business.
Going over to Casey's dumpster.
Exactly.
They also pick our trash
The good
up.
news is they are picking us up, even if it's late. But some places, they're really, really making them angry. And I think our neighboring communities, I don't want to mention who, they've actually said they're going to withhold payment. I'm not sure that's the best idea. I think you would pay the company and until you get to the point where you just can't anymore. But I don't want them stopping picking up our garbage. And I don't think any community needs that. But
Well,
so-
in your discussions with them, and in your discussions with them, and if you feel like they are actually trying to work toward it, I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that they are working, because it's been every week. Since it
We're
changed.
working with that.
Thursday,
Recall,
sometimes Saturday.
recall that we are partners in the group called, I think they call it ROSAC. It's the Recycling, Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority. Mike Sapo is the guy, you've seen him, he's come here, and he's on top of that. And that's what he does. And he's monitoring that in terms of the different communities, not just ours, but all of the surrounding communities. But this community also goes way down into Macomb County and different places, so they're everywhere. Maybe even upstate. I don't know how far upstate they go. They're failing in a lot of ways, but they're failing because they took over a company that they thought was up and running, and perhaps it wasn't. We're not there where we need to act as a council. A mayor and council doesn't need to act yet. We need to monitor that. We will keep you informed. Ms. Pest has been to the site. She's been to the meetings. She does all that, and she's heard all of the arguments. They are on top of it. Some communities think it's important to go out and sue right away. I don't see it that way. We're too small to be having that fight, and I don't want to be the one that they identify as teaching us a lesson. I want them to pick up my garbage here in Wall Lake. I'll do the 5-day late over in Commerce, but I'll call Larry, and maybe Larry gets it picked up.
I was surprised. I didn't realize GFL was still in business.
They're not.
Well, there's still GFL trucks all over Upper Michigan.
I'm pretty sure they're shut down. It's going to take at least 5 years for them to get all
Now,
the
as
trucks.
far as recycling, you take your recycling yourself. You have a recycling center, you take it, and if you don't want to pay for garbage pickup, you take your own garbage there and you can dump your garbage or whatever, $3 a bag or whatever it is. But I see GFL trucks all over. They look like brand new trucks. I want to
good
say,
paint
why don't you send your new trucks downstate?
A new paint job doesn't make them new trucks. You know, if they're leaking oil, I guarantee you talk to the people in the community, you'll see they're leaking fluid all over on the ground, and they're damaging the asphalt and all of that. And we've had that complaint about GFL for a couple of
I
years.
haven't followed any.
Some of you may even be, are you familiar with that? Yeah, they you know, it's costly to maintain your fleet, and so if they knew they were going to sell and they're fudging, they're going to withhold the you know, they could just kind of wire it together, keep it going until the sale. And
Okay,
it
is
could
that
be
enough waste talk?
that's enough trash talk for tonight, Mayor.
Garbage talk for the evening?
Bada, boom.
Let's move along.
Okay, can we go on to correspondence of another subject?
There is none, Madam Mayor.
Oh, goody. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything?
I do not have a report tonight.
Oh, well, you get the brownie points for the night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unfinished business. Nothing, but oh, we still have new business, boys and girls.
Right.
Okay, first item up is the budget amendment for the DDA.
We are,
We already approved that.
we did that one. That
Yeah,
was
we
the-
already did that one.
Yep, along
You're
with
right.
The Boss Engineering.
We modified that.
Oh,
Both
moving
are-
on.
Quickly.
Okay.
Chief.
Vehicle purchase.
All right, thank you, Mayor Council.
I think we're going to cancel that one.
Oh, wait a minute. Asking to replace two Dodge Chargers and replace them with, actually it'd be 2025 Dodge Durango patrol vehicles. Unfortunately, the low bidder is $44,974 per vehicle. This would come from general funds as of right now. We're waiting on forfeiture funds. If they become available, then the city manager and I will sit down and talk and shift those funds.
If you're inclined to approve, the motion should be approve the purchase to be paid from forfeiture funds if available, if not, general fund. If it hits, then we'll pay for them there. And that's the way it would always be. But this is a continuation of, we're getting new cars, we're turning them over, so we're not spending money on maintenance and all that kind of thing. And we're turning them over pretty quickly. That's the history of the last 14 years. We've been turning over the vehicles, and we're not whizzing away money on maintenance, which gets pretty expensive, as GFL will tell you. So I'm asking that you go ahead and approve that based on what I just said, to be paid for by forfeiture funds should they arrive, and if not, the general fund. So keep that general, and we get two new cars. If I get a motion, I'll be happy.
Do I have a motion,
Chief
please?
Shekinah, just out of curiosity, how many Chargers are left in the fleet?
I think we're down to 6 or 8 between police and fire.
Yep. Okay, so I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve a resolution for the Department of Public Safety Police Division to purchase 2 new vehicles, Dodge Durango Police Package Patrol Vehicles, including the payment of forfeiture funds if they come available.
Second for Fernandez.
Okay, we have a motion, we have support.
Ostnick support.
Oh, I thought we had it, I'm sorry.
You did,
I heard
Fernandez.
somebody down there, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose. Ackley. Thank you.
Yes.
Mayor,
Was that quick?
at this point, I would point out that it's not insignificant that the new fire truck that the council approved arrived today, the very day that we have a new fire chief. I don't know if he's going to be the first guy to drive it. So there's a bright red truck over there. My public works superintendent mistakenly got in it and drove it around before he realized it wasn't his red truck.
Classic mistake.
Little joke. But there's a new one in there, and it will be outfitted. It won't be outfitted because they like special stuff. You know, the fire department's always special, and we get that outfitted for looking like a fire truck in September.
Yes, sir. Yep, and we worked with the police department to take any excess lights and equipment.
Yeah.
And all one big happy
So
family.
the fire truck did come in, the council approved on the very day that he got, you know, I'm sure that he's sitting in it right now after his family went home. So there's where we are in vehicles. By buying these new vehicles, we really are saving a lot in terms of maintenance, and we're turning them over pretty
Indeed.
quickly. So it's hard to put a price on what we're saving by not having to feed the damage done by old vehicles. It costs a lot to maintain them, so.
Do we need to choose a specific bidder?
Oh, that's for low bidder. That was,
Approval for the low bidder.
Okay.
that was
I think
Zot.
you got it.
Yeah.
Yes, I apologize.
I just wanted
on
to
that.
confirm. No,
Yeah,
I
that was
apologize.
Zot. M59 Dodge was the lowest bidder on that.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, we went with the lower bid, lowest bidder.
Okay. Looks like we're on to number 3. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Intergovernmental agreement for lockup. Do I have a motion?
Ostnick will make the motion, a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Walled Lake, City of Wixom, to authorize the city manager to execute the intergovernmental agreement for lockup services, this being Resolution 2024-29.
Support.
Ambrose will support.
We're not going to hear about how much money we're saving or anything. Okay, we could go out and vote.
Go ahead, vote.
Okay, roll call, please.
Lublin,
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a resolution to adopt MERS retiree health funding vehicle uniform resolution.
This is a resolution recommending an adjustment in how we account for funds. Ms. Petzler can explain it to you, but this is a recommendation by MERS, the Michigan Retirement System, that we're traveling on in terms of how we account for that and how we show it on our books. Can you add anything to that? Go ahead.
I think you covered it pretty well, but basically it's to help with our annual actuary report that we get. They are advising all their municipalities to open up this trust. Whether we use it or not is up to us in the future, but just having this approved tonight will actually improve our actual report by this year.
I'm not a big believer in having a lot of different accounts. In other words, you have trust accounts or funds, if you will. You have the general fund, the different funds. I'm not a big believer in that, but MERS is, we need to take their recommendations, and they say create a fund in case you need it to put money, whatever. Nothing in it, but we're opening it up, and the council is the one that does that. I don't just open one up for myself, but I'm more about closing down funds that we don't use or whatever, but there's more than one fund, more than the general fund. You have the other special funds or whatever, and they're recommending we create this for future accounting purposes, and so that's all we're doing here. It's a administrative move, but recommended by the MERS, and we're stuck with MERS. MERS has been good to most people here. It's good to us, good to me. So we'll take a recommendation. That's all we're doing.
Okay.
It's not costing anything right now, as far as we know.
I don't think we made the motion yet,
No.
did we?
No.
No.
Need a motion.
I need the motion, please.
Ambrose will make the motion for proposed resolution 2024-30, MERS Retirement Health Funding Vehicle Uniform Resolution.
Woods a second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Council comments. Mindy.
Just want to say thank you to the great reports tonight, and it's so much information that you guys have worked on to inform us so that we can make good decisions for the city. We really appreciate that. And I know that if we had more questions, I know you would have the answers. So that is very comforting to us as we make those decisions. Some of them are hard to make, but we have to make them. So I think this is what City Council is doing, and we really appreciate your work behind the scenes to make us aware of everything.
Bennett.
I'm excited for the downtown development scope of survey scope, because this is definitely something that's been overdue. And also summertime, and when I look around our parks and our campus here, and really everything looks great. So I commend not just the DPW, but administration and really the entire team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Mr. Ambrose.
Keep it brief. I want to thank and congratulate our Chief Jason Gonzalez for his new position as our City of Walled Lake Fire Chief. Excited and eager to see where our sidewalk endeavor takes us, and as well as our potential water terrace development as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O.
I'm looking forward to seeing Wall Lake become more and more developed and having new businesses come in. And I'm looking forward to Mr. Taco Bell being open. But I'm also very appreciative of Chief Chikinis and Heather to giving us the support in our interim and welcoming Gonzalez as our new fire chief. So, and staff is, as always, staff is staff, and their performance is good. Not only good, excellent. Get kudos for all the way around. And Jerry Millen for being on a DDA and being a spark plug for this city.
Here, here.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, can you follow that?
Well, I agree with everything that was said. That sounds pretty good.
Sounds pretty good to you?
No, but in the meantime, right, roads were getting done, right? We're at the point where things are starting to come together and we're talking about improving, part of the heart of downtown, right? So
Absolutely.
we're there. So we need to have those discussions and find out where they take us.
We're, one of the points you made about, that we're hoping the Ladd Road starts beginning of September. And if that does, that's a big deal. That's like the worst road in town. We have some bad roads, and we'll continue to work on those, but that's like one of the worst. And if that gets done all the way up, that's a really nice addition to our gateways, because that's a gateway road. It's actually in the DDA district. We get that done. But what we do have coming, and finally we can say that, is all of the signs, the gateway signs will be replaced. We got those in this week. When do we get them?
We got them in Monday.
Monday? Perfect. So the one that you see on Ladd Road, the new sign, which is an improvement, it's a 3D sign. We should get those up anytime coming. But the other signs are in, the seals are in, the 3D seals. So those signs will be up hopefully within this month, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, ever how long it takes.
By the end of September.
Okay, well then we're going to get those done. So those are the kind of small improvements that send the signal to people who are passing through that Wall Lake is paying attention. That's a big deal for us. I'm pretty proud of the marketplace. It's kicking and booming every Wednesday. I don't know if you folks are going over there, but it really is. The marketplace, it's probably bigger than it's ever been. I think that has to do with the folks running it.
How many do we have this year?
How many vendors?
How many vendors?
We've been averaging about 20 a week, 20 to 25.
Parking lot is full.
That's humble. It's there's been times when it's 30. Sometimes they're not all pleasant, but it's pretty popping. The way you tell whether it's good or not is you look and see how many cars are in that lot that we built, and it's oftentimes full. It's oftentimes full. That's pretty amazing. So the people are beginning to realize that this is a destination, not just a part-time thing. So it really is working. It's something that Wall Lake has begun to be identified for. So it's pretty nice. Other than that, we're doing good. So if the council's happy, we're happy. Got plenty to do. Not enough time.
I guess all I can do is sit here and echo a lot of the things that my council has said. I think every time I look around, I see improvements in town. I see the businesses trying harder and harder to make a go of it. Yes, I know, Mr. Millen, there are some businesses that aren't doing that. And then there's you that's, bouncing around and doing whatever you can. But a lot of them are trying. And as I come and go, and I am coming and going. If you don't believe me, just look at my gas bill for the month. But I see a lot of improvements in town, and it just amazes me. And the work of the city staff and the DPW it's great. We're doing good, and Wall Lake is looking good, and I appreciate that. I appreciate each and every one of the staff members. So with that, if no one else has anything else to say this evening, including the city manager, I'll ask for
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's go home.
Recording stopped.